What's up, everybody? My name is David. This is the Just a Guy podcast. If you are new here, essentially this podcast is an excuse for me to talk about things that I find interesting, but also an excuse for me to sit down and have real conversations with cool and interesting people, one of whom is with me today. My friend over here is a soon-to-be licensed architect. He is a young adults pastor over in Dallas, and most importantly, he is my friend and Just a Guy. Ladies and gentlemen of the podcast, Joshua Kenyon Brown.
Dude, thanks for having me.
Oh, you're so very welcome.
Thanks for having me.
Josh, go ahead and tell the people of the jury, the people of the pod, just a little bit about who are you? What is you?
Okay, what
is you?
What am I? Well, yeah, he kind of mentioned that, is that I am in the Dallas side of it. I actually grew up in Fort Worth.
Yes, you
which
did.
is crazy that I'm now back in Fort Worth for this. Fort Worth is still home to me. I joke that I went to the dark side of the DFW.
Now I got to drive over every now and then.
That's true. But yeah, I went to the dark side of the DFW, and to be honest with you, Dallas was not my post-grad location in my mind, but the Lord had other plans, and so that's how I ended up being there. But again, yeah, I'm in architecture, trying to pursue licensure, enjoy what I do in that space. But then also God has called me to be a part of ministry. And so there's always this, I'm not going to say balance, but the stewarding of rhythms. And so, man, yeah, I love at the end of the day to get to help someone else and at the same time do something cool. So and obviously we'll get into it here in a little bit, but I like to lift. That's a fun thing to do.
Man, you said something about it's not about work-life balance, but rhythms. And as a teacher, you regularly hear the phrase thrown around, it's just really bad work-life balance. And when I actually was interviewing for my job, my hiring assistant principal said to me, she was like, look, work-life balance is a myth. It doesn't happen. But here at blank school, we really try and highlight and push work-life harmony. And now, did that actually happen at that school? Sometimes, not all the time, not a lot of harmony going on. And, I'm a single guy who went home to no responsibilities to his Xbox, so I can't imagine what it was like for my coworkers who have 4 children. But I did like that idea of, like, it's actually not about work-life balance. It's not 50-50. It won't be. And I actually think as Christians, we have been put on the earth to work. And so that is something that I enjoy. And I was talking to a kid recently, and they were asking me some questions, and I just told them, I was like, it's the grand plan, the scheme in life. What you should try and do is you should figure out what you love and see if you can make money off of it. I think it came from a John Comer book, maybe Gardens in the City, because you and I have both read several, or at least started reading several.
Please picked it up.
I think I'm halfway through 4 of his books.
You just kind of, piecemeal it.
The ruthless elimination of hurry, 60%.
There you go.
Practice the presence of the way, or no, what is it?
Practicing
the way. Sorry, I combined it with Brother Lawrence.
No, I'm thinking about Brother Lawrence's book now.
Practicing the way. I'm like a third through Lovology, halfway, and then Gardens in the City. I think I'm getting through it. Shout out John Comer if you're watching. Friend of the pod, John Comer.
Future friend of the pod.
So you and I became friends at Texas A&M University, Gang of Maggies. Whoop, indeed. We had a senior night at our church the other day, and there were several seniors going to A&M. And the first one, it was whoop, super loud. Everybody laughed. All the TCU Horned Frogs there were like, And then the second one, whoop, and then by the fourth, it was like, whoop, and I was like, all right, guys, how long y'all been graduating? Come on, we got to keep the energy up. Anyways, we met through church at A&M, through student ministry, and very much so, you were 100% an older brother in the faith, but also just in life. And you were, kind of showing me the way. When we met, what was that? Late 2021, December 2021, really started becoming friends 2022. Had you already gotten your undergrad at that point?
Yeah, so I had my undergrad and I was a master's student. I'm on last year, actually, of the master's program at that time.
Okay, that's what I had thought. I just needed to double check. Now, one of the things, I do want to talk a little bit about architecture because I think it is very important to who you are in your creative outlet. But one of the things I do want to bring up is just everybody who knows Josh Brown will use the words is a good friend when describing him. It doesn't matter how long they've known him, if it's been years, months, days, is a good friend will come up. And I would honestly, from my perspective, one of your ministries in life is friendship. And I know that you've got kind of a mission statement for your life. Would you share with the audience
Oh,
what that
wow.
is?
Wow. Well, in some ways, it's even in thinking about the conversation, I always think about my life's prayer.
Mm-hmm.
My life's prayer is I would live my life as a living thank you to God. I think I've seen that in the realm of friendship. If I'm grateful for the people in my life, and with that comes intentionality within those relationships, and particularly with my friendships. I think in current season, and you and I have had a conversation off camera about this, is, I feel like one of my roles, we're not talking about just in ministry, but I believe in life, is to be like a Barnabas to people. And if you're familiar with Barnabas in scripture, his name means son of encouragement, and he was a friend to Paul. And so that's where I feel like is my call, right? Is to just to be a good friend, to be intentional in those friendships, but then again, someone to encourage and come alongside people.
So I get a lot of questions in my DMs and my emails from typically juniors and seniors in high school or freshly out of school or in college, young adults. And they will ask me these incredibly in-depth questions after they've just expunged their entire life stories to me. And that's actually where the name of the podcast, Just a Guy, comes from.
Yeah.
Because I answer with like, look, I'm just a guy. I have experienced a little bit of life. However, I don't know all the answers, but this is what I did, or this is a similar thing I went through, yada, yada, yada,
Right.
And so one of the questions I get a lot, and I actually addressed it in my last episode, which was a solo episode. Go watch it. Actually, watch this, then go watch that. Honestly, space it out. I feel like that's a lot of my voice. Space it out. Watch it tomorrow. Set a reminder. But I was talking in the last episode about building community and
Okay.
community being a key ingredient to success in every venture of life. You are somebody that I think is a community builder. You very much are a Barnabas, a son of encouragement, very essential, I think, in every community that you grace. And so with that, I do want to talk about our time at A&M and specifically how you went about curating a community and how that led to your success. And I do eventually want to talk about your master, I don't know if it would be a thesis or just project, but your book. And I think you know what I'm referencing in the book.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's funny. Story time. So when I was going throughout the master's program, so I also give a little context. So I graduated undergrad during COVID. Right. I know. Right. I'll hold it down. But
I
anyway,
was still in high school. Sorry.
wild. I literally watched as my name came across the big screen at Kyle Field. That's how I graduated.
sucks.
That's how I graduated. So anyway, so then I go into my master's program. And one of the things that I was big about was bringing others into that work or schoolwork environment because we're all doing schoolwork. Regardless of your major,
Yeah.
we're all together trying to do this. And so, people will go and study in their corners and stuff. It's like, why were I get study, get your alone time, focus, I get that. But what about those moments where you don't have to necessarily be in this closed box and we can kind of come together and study, but then have a 2 a.m. Taco Bell break and, just have fun, practical jokers in the background. I don't know, right? Whatever you want to do. And so, I basically kind of created that environment in my house. And so it would be a group of us, you were a part of that, who would come over for late night studying. And we would take turns and all this stuff. Like, oh, I'm going to take me a little hour nap. You go do yours or whatever. But nonetheless, like, we became close by proximity and time,
Yeah.
and a part of that was like, oh, wow, I know I have a group of people around me that are actually supporting and the pursuit, right, of said degree, to be around you, to encourage you in that. But again, it's one thing to try to do something on your own. It's another thing to know, oh, I'm not alone, and we're doing this together.
It's incredibly encouraging. And even I talked about this, I think, in the last episode too. The annex, the fourth floor of the
Oh my
Evans
gosh.
Library
I
annex.
don't know if anything got done there.
I don't know if I ever really did anything in there too. I remember one time I was listening to music. So when you're a freshman, most likely you went in during the fall, and the very first final season is winter.
Right.
And so the very first finals I ever did as an engineering student at A&M, I was listening to Christmas music the whole time. And so I accidentally created this like stress reliever thing for myself where it's like when I was stressed about finals, I'd listen to Christmas music. And I'm in the Evans library. I got my AirPods on, my phone on the table, on Do Not Disturb or whatever. And our dear friend Sarah, shout out Sarah, she's watching this. She's like the biggest supporter ever. Thank you, Sarah.
It's like, oh my gosh, it released. I was kidding.
Oh my gosh, she mentioned me. No, she didn't want to say that. She touches the screen. What are you listening to? And I'm like, no, and she touches it and it's Mariah Carey. Just all I want for Christmas is you. Oh, I was living life. I was having a great time.
For Christmas is you.
And she's
100%.
like, DJ, what are you listening to? And then everybody in the annex, because all of our friends are there, the whole congregation basically, and they're like, what the mess?
Yeah.
You're listening to Christmas. It's May. And I'm like, no, stop. Sorry, that was such a tangent. One thing I wanted to mention was when we were at your house, can we say the street? Sure.
I mean, yeah, but to be honest with you, I don't even know if the house is still there.
I don't know if the house is still there either, but saying your house is really going to trip me up. So Milam, it was on Milam Street.
Yeah.
All of our houses are on different streets, and so we called them by the street they were on. Right. But we were at Milam one night. It was really late. This was at the very end of your master's.
Okay.
And you and I were up and we were talking and it was so late. And I think you know what story I'm talking about.
Okay.
And I'm sitting on the couch and you were working, I was kind of working, we were talking, you're bouncing ideas off. And somebody else was there. Maybe it was Sean, maybe it was somebody else, but they had left and it was just you and I, and we were doing something the next morning. And I'm sitting on the couch and we're talking and I'm slowly just drifting, shaking the sleep demons away. Drifting, shaking the sleep demons away, and my eyes are just so closed, and I'm fighting to stay awake, and you look at me and you go, hey, it's okay. You can go to sleep.
Gosh,
and I literally, he
about
said
this.
that like a spell. He goes, hey, it's okay. You can sleep. With just he realized, almost like defeat, but more like a resignation. You're like, it's okay. And I was like, okay. Just out immediately. But there was also nights where it was like, okay, I need this, you were actually, as an architectural student, he's actually building these diagrams, these models, and he's like, I need to sleep, wake me up in 37 minutes, and it would be Sean and I, or it would be, Justice and Chris, whoever.
Yeah.
Honestly, I feel like I was only there for a very short time. Sean was putting in hours.
Oh, 100%. As an engineering student.
And so, but you formulated this community. We were willing to goof around, have fun around you as you worked, take naps, and then be like, okay, Josh, you go to bed. We'll wake you up. And then, hey, you've got to start gluing again. The glue's dry.
That was trauma because I would make these models on our coffee table. I'm sitting on the floor on this rug with
such a raggedy rug, too.
Task
so
board.
gross.
Yeah, with some task board and some of this glue, and man, and we're making these study models that I know I'm gonna show to my professor. Like, I don't really know about this design, and rip the piece off, knowing that I literally have spent hours putting these models together, and you're just watching your work just go away. You're like, dang, okay.
When I started leading, I'd been leading small group for a while, but I led a Bible study, a young men's Bible study through our student ministry. And one of the guys, my last 2 semesters doing it was a kid named Nathan, and he's doing cool things now, but he was in architecture, and I'd be like, hey man, are you coming over? Because I would make dinner for the guys, especially when I was about to graduate. I had the juniors kind of start taking more responsibility, James and Ethan, and I would just cook dinner for everybody, and so I needed a head count.
Yeah.
And he was like, man, I'm so sorry, I've got this art, and I'm like, say no more. I understand. Explain not, dear friend.
I'm grateful that you understood.
But yeah, I was like, I've seen things. No, so part of you built this community, and then you did something really cool with your final book. If you want to explain
Yeah,
that and the
so
heart behind it.
right. So the last year of the master's program was 2 years. You had to curate a book that went alongside what we called our final study. It was a culmination of the research because well, you're supposed to do the research through the
Yeah.
summer of the previous, like between the previous year and that last year, you would
Yeah.
have done research. Now, did everyone do that? I don't know. I'm not.
Did you
I'm
do
not
that?
naming names. I got blessed in the sense that I took a job, a research job, with uh, a coalition called the Texas Freedom Colonies Project,
Okay.
and so I did that throughout the summer. Well, when I made my decision on what my final study was, all that research that I had done, it went right into it. Like it was the igniter to the project that I got to do. And so, okay, I have all this robust research, had interviews, oral history workshops. I mean, like all
The
this,
works.
yeah, all this database, right? And so, okay, I do this project, which was taking an old existing church in what's called a freedom colony. The church was built back in 1877
Way
in
back.
Watrasville, which is a freedom colony of Brenham, Texas. And so, anyway, it was thinking through, well, this church has kind of been abandoned, but it also has a historical marker. What can this be to symbolize the history of that area? And so they didn't have the motivation to kind of revive it as a church, but it could still be a historical beacon. And so could it be a museum? Could it be what could it be, right? And so anyway, worked on that for that year,
Yeah.
and then give the defense. You were a part of that.
So like barely.
Barely, yeah. So
Barely.
gave the
So
defense. My
I was
the
there.
Yeah, my committee were like, we pass you. Like, yes. Because mind you, I also navigated some other things, and you were there for that. I had a whole knee surgery during that time, and at one point I'm walking around with crutches, wheeling a cart of models. Right, that was the situation we were
I
in.
forgot to mention somehow, arguably one of the cooler things you've done in life.
Oh, what is that?
Josh Brown is a former NCAA gold medalist powerlifter.
Well, let me give. Wait, hold on.
Strongest man, dude.
Well, yeah, let me give a better title to that because we are not necessarily an NCAA sport, but
Oh, are you not?
no.
So I lied.
It was a club sport at A&M, but it's an affiliate of the USAPL. And so, yes, I did powerlifting at A&M for 4 years.
USAPL gold medalist powerlifter.
Collegiate National Champion 2019. You can go back and find it on YouTube.
Actually surprised that's not an official NCAA sport at A&M because both men and women do it, so it wouldn't off the balance.
Yeah, but it's not. It is a club sport.
Interesting.
Yeah, we volunteered our time. So anyway, so went through that whole defense, and at the end of it, you had to produce this book. And so we produced it and whatnot, but I understood that I did not produce this book. Although, yes, the actual book alone, yes, I did. I produced that alone. But in reality, there were integral relationships and again, friendships that were a part of that. Like, I understood, like, the late nights. I could not have made it through those late nights had y'all not been there,
Yeah.
right? In those moments where I'm like, why am I doing this? Why am I up at 4 o'clock in the morning? I haven't slept. And somehow I'm supposed to get up and go to class the next day while also being a good friend, while also still wanting to work out and still wanting to do all these things. And so I recognized I didn't do that by myself. And so at the beginning, you could give kind of like your, what do you call it? I don't even know the word, but I guess like acknowledgments.
Yeah.
And so I started acknowledging my professors, obviously acknowledge the Lord first, But then I took time, and I remember someone told me, it's like, you don't have to do this, I was like, I know what I don't have to do, but I want to do this. I want to acknowledge the friends that were a part of that journey with me, who would come up to Langford at the architecture school, what happens in Langford stays in Langford. Shameless plug, right? But they would come to Langford and would be a part of that journey. Some of which would help me make the models. Some of which would just be there during that time. Some of which would clown me and say like, "Why are you making squares?" I'm like, "Okay, all right, do a little bit more than that." But anyway, y'all were a part of that journey, and so if I'm going to publish something that's gonna live on a shelf or be a part of the Tamu Library series,
Yeah.
and you can look at that, you're gonna see every person that was a part of that.
Man. I think what's funny was I met Josh when I was 18, so I was a sophomore,
Dude,
and
that's wild.
a little bit, but you were already you graduated 23 or 22? 22.
Spring of 22.
Spring of 22. So I met him fall of 21. I was barely there. I was like there a couple times, and when he shows me the book, obviously we've been waiting for the culmination not just of his degree, but for the final study.
Right.
And you were like, it came in, and we're like, it came in. Woo! And then one at a time, we went around your coffee table because I remember Sean was there. I think Aubrey was there too, which he lived there.
Yeah.
And read it. And then Sean all of a sudden goes, no way. I feel like that was a good Sean.
That was great. That was a great impersonation.
No way. Are you for real?
Yeah.
DJ, read this. And then I read the page he's on, and I'm like, oh my gosh, the building's so cool. And then I'm reading, and I'm reading, and I'm reading, and then it's, thank you for my friends. And then you name us.
Yeah.
And then I see my name, and I'm like, bro, I was here like twice. But I feel every time I was there, Sean had been there and was there after.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've got like a hierarchy of who was there the most. I know Sean, Chris, and Justice were there.
More Sean, probably.
Sean,
in that
100%. Yeah. I bring up that story and I ask you to share that because it genuinely is, I think, one of the cooler things somebody's done. I know a lot of people, thank whoever. And there's a Easter egg at the very end of my first episode. It's dedicated to specific people. I didn't tell them because I want to know if they watched through the credits.
Hilarious.
It's my parents though. But I think it's very cool that you did share the moment. And I didn't actually know that somebody was like, hey, you don't have to do that, by the way. And you're like, I know. I think that is really cool. Now, outside of, building real friendships that you believe genuinely impacted your success at A&M, I want to talk a little bit more about something you do that's really cool, and that you are bivocational. Mm-hmm. You are a full-time architectural consultant, right? Because you're in the process of getting licensed. But then you were also a young adults pastor, right? Pastor now? It was a director, now it's pastor.
Well, still director. We don't
I
have
saw
to
the
get into
slide
nuance.
the other day at church.
Hey, I didn't make the slides. Fun fact. So,
young adults director / pastor.
Whatever you want to call me.
Josh
there
Brown. At I don't know if you want to name the church or not.
Oh yeah, shameless plug. Grace Hill.
At Grace Hill, Dallas.
If you're in the Dallas area, Grace Hill, Lake Highlands, White Rock. Come visit.
Come visit. You might see me there once every other year. No, I've been there more than that, but not much. But no, I don't plug mine because I'm like worried about the youth students' like safety because there are people that are weird.
Oh, okay, that's valid.
That's why I asked you.
That's valid.
Do you change your mind about saying it?
Hey, Sundays. Oh. Sunday.
We can always be like, Roger, cut it. But keep that in, Roger.
Hey, protect it. Just know. You good. We're good.
We got good security teams at the Texas churches.
I have faith in my safety team.
What was I talking about? You're bivocational. What is that like? How do you treat being a Christian in the workplace? Do you minister to your coworkers? Are you simply just a friend? How do you build real relationships? Just all those things, wherever you want to go with that.
Yeah, I don't know if I do it right. I do want to make that clear because I could sit on here and I could tell you what I think, but I want to preface by saying like I don't always get it. Like I don't always figure out, okay, this is the exact strategy. I've had, this is a divine appointment and this crazy conversation. Like it's not always like that. Sometimes that equals like, oh man, I don't know how they're gonna perceive me. I don't know it's gonna actually have impact on the other side, right? Like so I don't always get that right. But I will say I try my best to live unashamed, I guess.
Okay, amen.
And so, anyway, what that has equaled is, okay, Lord, if you have led me down this path, as much as I've gone sometimes kicking and screaming,
Yeah.
I am going to say yes.
Right, amen.
So that's, I mean, obviously part of how I got to Dallas. I've said this phrase, you've heard me say this phrase, never tell the Lord what you will not do, because I think that oftentimes he wants to address the heart behind that.
Always after the surrender.
Yeah, and then when he's addressing your heart, oftentimes the task or the assignment gets brought back up. And so that equaled me going to Dallas. Um, I didn't know on the other side of moving to Dallas, it was going to equal co-vocational ministry. It's actually something I ran from.
Yeah, very much so. Initially, you were just a volunteer.
Yeah, I was a
And you were,
volunteer.
how can I help?
Now, people in my life would tell me, and they would say this today, we saw this. We saw this coming. And you're like, I know you saw it coming. I didn't want to see it coming.
You saw it coming. I think you were actively running in the opposite direction.
I think I was, again, don't always get it right. I was like, Lord, not me, not for me, right? The lights are hot and bright to include in this room. You know what I
Yes,
mean?
no, they actually are really toasty in this room. We got a lot
But
of
there's a
lights.
principle with that. The principle is that, you know, if you're trying to chase something and you're trying to chase it impurely, those impurities will be shown upon. Like it will
I got chills.
it will be seen. It will expose you. And your motives will be exposed. And so there was something where it was like, I just don't want that.
Yeah.
But life change, I do want to see. And the Lord was like, yeah, that's the actual vehicle. The thing that you don't want to do, that's the vehicle that I actually want to use to actually see that life change happen. And you're like, okay. And so, yeah, so that equals, you know, some crazy weeks. And also, we initially talked about rhythms when we
Yeah.
first started the conversation. That doesn't always equal balance. It doesn't always equal 50-50 with my time. There are certain seasons that, like, I'm gung-ho in architecture. Like, we're going to get through these exams. Guys, I've been doing this for a long time. Okay, when we get this license, y'all could be a part of y'all could be a part of this if you want to. We go celebrate because
Yeah.
we're talking about 10 years, y'all. Like, it just is a wow. But
Crazy when you put it that way. Yeah.
10 years when I walked on the A&M's campus, it's like, I'm gonna study architecture, and then to go into exams of 3 years, it's a process, okay? But then
I think what sucks about the architecture exams, because the teacher ones don't do this, the LSAT doesn't do this, it tells you how you probably did. And it's usually correct. And so you're like,
oh yeah, you walk out the room,
the
literally.
screen is like, you probably failed.
Yeah, and then you're like, maybe, well, it says most likely, so does that change? And then you go on the forums and they say, no. Like, when you see that, that's
But
pretty
then
much
when
what
you
you're
get it, when you
just like,
succeed,
Thanks for
you're
letting
like,
me know I actually failed. Appreciate it. With the actual receipts of the score. But anyway,
But then when you get the, hey, you probably passed. And then you're like,
oh my gosh.
DJ.
Oh, I don't have to call my
Calls,
people.
and you get the call. Out of breath. It's like, where were you running from? Like, what?
Yeah, it's a whole thing. But anyway, so it doesn't always equal 50-50 balance. But again, I've said yes to this. I've not been doing this for 4 years. It's crazy to say that.
Basically, I remember driving down with you to look at apartments.
Yeah, it's 4 years.
houses.
And so, yeah, not only in young adults, but I also serve in youth. And so to see that transition happen of seeing people, hey, I have a purpose. The Lord is leading me in that purpose. And to help be the person that I know I needed at that time, because that wasn't my story. I didn't grow up and go in youth ministry, all these things. And so, yeah, I mean, I even got to preach this last Wednesday, and our
And it was great. It was one of the few times I've been.
equals, yeah, I go to work. I'm working on multiple projects. I go to the gym, get my workout in, and then I go home and I sermon prep. And so that could equal late nights. But again, on the other side of that is life change. Then I believe it's worth it.
Transformation happens in the presence of the Lord.
Come on.
So, talked a little bit about bivocational ministry work, all those things. do your coworkers know what you do on a Sunday, what you do on a Friday?
I think a good chunk of them do. So I have, yes, certain people that I work with that they'll be like, oh, Josh is a youth pastor, which is not necessarily true,
Yeah.
but I am a youth leader, and so yeah, it's been cool because I've even got to see like one of my coworkers like come on a Sunday, and she really get to have a good time at service and things like that. And it's come again, and so that's been really cool. So yeah, they kind of know, I guess, I think vaguely what I do, not all the details and whatnot. But I'm gonna walk in if it's cold outside with a Grace Hill hoodie on
Yeah.
because I don't have many, like, I guess, business casual, like, what is it?
Attire?
Yeah, attire, or maybe like winter clothes is what I
Yeah.
meant to go with, like cold weather, clothing. And so I, again, will walk in with that hoodie, and I will probably wear said hoodie. But you know what? I get my work done, so it's fun.
No, I think that was something as a teacher, you have the legal separation.
Yeah.
You kind of, there's certain lines you can't cross. But I did have coworkers and, we would eat meals together and stuff like that. And I'd always pray for mine. And, someone like, oh, bless mine too. The English teacher next door, Brooks, she would go, you gonna bless mine? And I'm like, my bad,
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. There you go. There you go.
And so there was stuff like that. And a lot of people were believers. And some people are like, I'm just trying to find a church here in Dallas or here in Fort Worth or whatever. One of my coworkers, Tatiana, she did come to church one time. And very much my church is diverse. It is multiracial, multi-generational, multi-ethnic, all that. We've got a lot of we've got a decently sized immigrant population because we do a lot of immigrant ministry. And so I'm people that are refugee status, asylum seekers, things like that. But it was not the church she was used to
Oh yeah.
by any means because she came fully dressed. I'm in like jeans and a flannel.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh my gosh, I look so underdressed. And I'm like, sit right here,
That's a real adjustment.
And
I feel like people need to understand.
She brought it up, and she goes, I'm just trying to see the brothers in here, like
Hey.
I'm just trying to count them. She goes, I'm at 4, it's a
Yeah.
room of 400, and I'm like. Yeah, I was like, look, there's people serving with the kids. I swear, there's more brothers.
I promise.
Um, but that was like something. It's like, okay, I'm gonna wear, my cross necklace or whatever, and
Right.
that doesn't make you a Christian, but it does. It is a good indicator of like, hey, that person probably knows a thing or two. And people would ask me to pray, like, hey, I'm going through this or whatnot. And so there is that aspect of people are often ask me as a teacher, how do you? And I'm like, dude, you ain't got to preach the gospel. Be the gospel. Just love people.
Yeah.
Love your students, love your coworkers. Oh, somebody didn't bring lunch and you're out right now, text them. Hey, you need me to grab you some chipotle, And so very much that's an easy aspect. As a teacher, it's friendly, not a friend. Like, yeah, we're friendly. I ain't your friend though, home dog, Zog, as one of my students said.
Oh, wow.
I ain't your friend, we're not friends. You will not call me David. You will call me Mr. Jan, Coach Jan, or Sir. And that's just how it needs to be. But as a youth volunteer, it's like, you're not really friends because it's like, what, you're not like hanging out often,
Right.
but it's like you're at the football games, you're at the soccer games and stuff. But it's like you are more than just friendly. Like you are, there is, church is a community thing. And so there's like a family aspect. You're like the fun uncle or something. I don't know.
Literally.
An
No.
older cousin. And, these kids' parents will like talk to you and call you. And what's funny is we have one of our youth students who's an adult now, so I'll name him Evan. And I'm friends with Evan, I guess. But I'm also friends with his dad. And so it's like when me and Justin hang out, and then when I'm at youth or getting, lunch with the boys or something, it's like I'm like in this middle between, I'm like the connection. And I went and played my buddy Matt and he was like, hey, we're actually going to do board game night at my friend Justin's house. And I was like, okay. And this is when I first met Justin. And I walk in and they've got the senior picture of like Evan's accolades, because he's about to graduate. And I'm like, that's weird. They got a picture of Evan here. And then I realized that Justin was Evan's dad and Evan was there. And so we played this board game, me and the homies, then with also Justin and Evan. And it was just this very interesting relationship dynamic that only happens in church, I feel like.
Yeah.
But kind of part of building real friendships is actually getting invested in these kids' lives. And I want to just ask you, have you ever noticed, like, as a youth student, ever expressed, because you've been in the youth ministry game for a long time at the last few churches, something a little more than gratitude about just how intentional you were with seeing them grow as young men?
Yeah, I literally just got to go to a graduation.
Why you were up late?
Yeah,
I
why
did
I
not
was
have a
up
good
late,
excuse.
and we had a late night bite post graduation. They also had this cool drone show. Never thought I'd see that at a
The
graduation. Oh,
graduation?
legit, it was awesome. But anyway, anyway, so we just had a graduation, and I got to see that young man. And I guess, yeah, he's also 18, so I got to see London
Yeah.
graduate. But I remember when he went in as a freshman. And I mentioned this. Something I also
He
like
was one
to,
of the first youths when you got there.
yeah. And so one of the things that I like doing sometimes is I'll send an audio message. It's one thing to say, like, congrats, like,
Yeah.
today's your day. It's something to be said about the intentionality of your words.
If it's your birthday, if you got a job interview coming up, if you graduated, expect a 2.5 minute voice
Hey,
memo
I
from Josh
got
Brown.
you. I got you.
He
Whether
will sing happy birthday to you in like full gospel mode.
Yeah, I'll probably say something that people are like, that's not true, about some crazy story of how I figured out it was your birthday. But yeah, so I sent this audio message, just again congratulating him. I've seen him grow. I've seen him just grow into this awesome young man of
And
God.
London's cool.
Oh.
Like I was there on Wednesday for youth.
He's a great
And
dude.
I'm like, dude,
Hilarious.
this guy's cool. And that's what sucks about youth ministry and even being a teacher, like seeing these kids, I'll never admit to my students that they're kind of cool. My youth kids, we've got a couple kids and, they've got cars, they've got jobs, they have their own money and they have their own styles. And I'm like, dude, this guy's stripped down on a freaking Tuesday.
No,
I'm like,
for
I
real.
can't compete with this.
Hey, honestly, the Samba's on my feet. Like, I didn't know
Josh, hold up those sambas. Josh Brown has never worn something like this. He told me the other day he got new shoes.
Yeah.
I saw this fit. Who dressed you? Because that's a joke that we have. Like, I need to take you thrifting.
Yeah.
And I'm like, freak. He's out-dripped me today.
Hey, it's the perks of being a youth ministry, and they'll tell you what's a flop.
And they roast you.
They will tell you.
There's a lot of outfits I've worn twice because of kids, and there's a lot of outfits I've worn once because of kids.
Exactly. But anyway, so he has again grown, and again I've gotten to hear just the effects of the relationship and the intentionality. And again, similar story, like his father is one of my mentors that I look up to a ton. That's Pastor Matt. I have learned from him, especially in co-vocational ministry. You talking about me working 2 jobs. Brother had like 4, teaching at Nelson University, our executive pastor, teaching in Waxahachie ISD, like all these things, like crazy stuff. And so there's that relationship there. But again, I've gotten to see him grow. And what's wild is, again, leading young adults ministry. It's like, that guy's about to be in young adults. Like,
No, you're stuck with him.
what? And quite literally stuck because he's going to the university that's not too far. Right?
Yeah.
So
Is he playing soccer?
he will be playing soccer. Yeah, that's right.
You brought up Pastor Matt, and would you say Pastor Matt's kind of a mentor in your life?
100%.
100%. And then, so this is perfect segue because you have Pastor Matt, who is very much an older brother in the faith, and you have London, who is a younger brother in the faith.
Yeah.
When developing real relationships, real friendships, we've talked about this so many times. We talked about this the other night.
Yeah.
What onus, what responsibility do you have as a younger man trying to get a mentorship figure, trying to get an older brother figure, whether that's in careers, in ministry, whether it's in life, faith, whatever. And we are talking a lot about Jesus because we are both Christians. However, like real relationships, real friendships are helpful for every stage of life, every avenue. But what responsibility do you have as the person wanting to learn and grow to actually go about getting in a room with those people?
Well, I can tell you, it's one thing to have a desire for mentorship. It's another thing to actually open up your mouth and go approach the person.
Amen. Thank you.
Because they're like, oh my gosh, I really want these mentors and I really want to grow and all these things, and yet you won't go have the conversation with the person. So I would give, as a practicality, identify the trait, the skill, or the quality that that person embodies and go ask them, hey, I want to learn this from you. Don't go up to somebody saying, hey, can I pick your brain?
I hate that phrase. And we've talked about this.
Because
I hate the
there's
phrase.
plenty of people, yeah, that will give you the time of day, answer a question, but they will feel more willing to lead you or more willing to share with you when you've identified what you want to learn from
The
them.
target.
The target. And so so like I have three particular mentors in my life right now, especially in the ministry space. Obviously I meet with people in the architecture space, like across the board, but those three in ministry, Pastor Matt is one of them. It's like I I have to understand that I am the one trying to learn.
Yes.
So when they say, hey, this is my schedule, you are going to move and shift your stuff for them. It's not the other way around.
Yes.
And so I've had to build my rhythm to be their rhythm, and also to be very intentional with the questions that I ask, the topics that I want to bring up. Like when me and Pastor Matt meet, he's like, you bring the topic, right? Like, what do you want to learn? What do you want to gain? What do you want to build upon at this lunch at Darriette's? What do you want to do? And so it takes real intentionality. But again, they're not gonna read your mind.
Yeah.
If you want to learn something or you want to like grow, open up your mouth and ask. And again, identify what it is that you actually want to learn from them.
And, as someone who I think has definitely more mentors than mentees, at least like in my mind, it is kind of hard to like cold call someone or go up to them after church or at work or whatever. But when I first started teaching, I was very aware that, hey, I just turned 21, literally the first day of school or the day before the first day of school.
Yeah.
I turned 21, my first year teaching. And I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing. I've got a master's degree. I've got some student teaching. But at the end of the day, I'm figuring this out. And I quickly just asked all the questions. I was emailing my professors while at the gym, you know. I'm like, oh my gosh, they responded at 6 p.m. Why are you up? You know, let me send this text off. But even like at church, we've got one of our elders, Todd. I think he's in his early 60s. And I talked about him in another last episode. But going up to him, because I own a company, which is crazy. Every time someone's like, yeah, I got this business idea. If they don't have an LLC, don't listen to them. It's the easiest thing to do. It's the easiest part is just actually filing it. But it's like, I own a productions company. We are doing these things. We are spending more money than we are making. But we're not making much. We're not spending a whole lot either, but
zero out at least.
It zeroes out. It zeros for sure. Anyways, I went up to Todd. He's never met me. I know who he is because he's one of our elders. And it's like, hey, Todd, my name's David. I do this and that. You mentioned earlier at this past conference, I heard you talking. You said you owned a company and that you were very faithful to tithe and do that. I was like, I want to know how you go about tithing. Do you tithe on revenue? Do you tithe on profit? Do you tithe just your personal income? What does that look like? And he was like, oh, that's a really good question. And you've won when they're like, oh, that's a really good question. But if you ask someone a genuine, intentional, specific question, like you said earlier, they're inclined to answer. I get so many DMs ask, I want to teach. What should I know? Do you have any advice for a first year teacher? And I'm not answering those DMs. And it's not because I don't appreciate you reaching out. It's not because I don't have good answers. It's just because I get them so often. I've answered them before.
It's almost like you got to put it like an FAQ.
And they're unspecific. They're non-specific.
Yeah. And
you can take it a million directions. And some people, it's like, then they ask follow-up questions. And the second question they ask is what they really wanted to know.
Right.
And I'm like, but when I get a DM, I'm scrolling through, making sure no brands or something are looking, and I see a question, and I'm like, oh, that's a really good question. I'm going to answer it at 2 a.m.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, that's a good question.
Right.
And that is, I've been getting DMs from larger creators. I've only been doing this 7 months, but I've been getting DMs from other creators. The other day, a creator that I find hilarious, arguably my favorite Instagram account, and they're like, hey, and they get so many views. They dog me in views.
Yeah.
They go, how do I turn views into followers? And I'm like, you asking me? And
Yeah.
I did have some specific stuff. He's like how do I convert here? And it's not a perfect science, but there are some things that I have noticed at work. Anyways, I brought all of that up because I think you are uniquely positioned in a lot of aspects to have just both over and under. And then how do you make it easier for people in need of a mentor to approach you? I don't know if you have an answer for that.
So wait, so I'm the person approaching the
No, no,
mentor?
no.
Or
How do you make it easier for people who want a mentor figure to approach you about it?
oh, to approach
So,
me.
you know,
Okay.
the Londons of the world.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think one of which is a premise of this whole podcast is I am just a guy. You know what I mean? Like
Amen.
yeah, shameless
Look directly
plug.
into the
Yeah,
camera.
yeah, yeah. I am just a guy. Okay. But no, so okay,
We joke, but that is genuine. Like the people that you are interested in, the creators,
Yeah, yeah.
the pastors, they are people.
no,
They are human.
100%. But it's funny because obviously you know me well enough. Like I can't answer a question. There's not some story associated to that, and it's very brief. But like I was at the gym the other day, and
I hoped you would bring this up.
you
I
know,
didn't
I
know how
was
to segment
well,
that.
I
What
was at
is-
the gym, and I don't know this. Well, I don't know if we're thinking about the same story, but anyway, so I met this guy, and he was doing leg extensions, right? And I'm sitting there waiting on the leg extension machine. I know I need to finish sermon prepping. I literally preaching the next day. I'm like, oh my gosh, I gotta finish this thing, and but I also want to finish my workout, and so I'm sitting on a box near the leg extension machine. I'm like, okay, let me multitask, and I'm sitting there typing notes while I'm waiting on him, and I see he's taking off weights. So okay, maybe he's done. So I go up to him and I say, "Hey, are you done?" He's like, "Yeah," but he almost was startled when I asked him that. And he goes, "Okay, this is gonna sound really weird, but your voice does not match what you look like,
Really?
right? Because if you see me at the gym and
You
I'm by
are scarier.
myself." I have my headphones on. I'm not smiling. I'm
some
like I'm really
mean mugging.
focused, you know.
Yeah.
But anyone who knows me knows I'm probably the goofiest person in the room, and I sound like Mickey Mouse. Like that's just how I am.
Especially the more excited you get.
Right. That's
And
just
I'm
how,
the same
well,
way.
that's just how that's how I am. But anyway, what was interesting is it like de-escalated the whole thing. Like he was very intimidated. He was very nervous and scared when I walked up until I opened my mouth. And this understanding, like I am just a guy, but I also love to be personable. Like I hope to be the inviting person that you get to experience like, wow, this person made me feel like I was the star. You know, one of the parts in friendship that you've probably have since seen, and obviously is part of our story, is we actually I'll go ahead and give people insight to that of how this whole friendship came to be. We had a witch, you know, right off of campus.
Yeah.
And I was actually getting lunch, not with you. I was getting lunch with our friend Connor, and we were trying to figure out a day that we could hang out. But I
And you
was
were
like,
much more intentional than I was. I was kind of like, who is this guy?
Right.
Why does this guy want to get lunch with me so
well,
bad?
and look, I'll give you a bit more context for the listener. I am a little weird in some of like the approaches that I have for
I
friendship.
don't even think it's weird.
Well, but
I think you're just direct.
well, again, for someone who's not used to this, I
Yeah,
think it
that's
could be
true.
weird. If I come up to you and I say, we're going to be friends, that's weird, right? Because you're like, I don't know you. Who are you? But what I've
and I
since,
think that's exactly what you said.
that's exactly what I told you. Literally, I remember from my car, I go, hey, dude, I've seen you around, man. We're going to be friends.
Like, no, yeah, we had been in the same circles. We had the same friends. You were very good friends with
Seen you, but I didn't know you.
You were great friends with D-Bar. D-Bar obviously being a mentor in my life. And you were like, yeah, we're going to be friends.
gonna be friends.
And I, being me, was like, okay. But then you meant it. And I wasn't used to seeing people mean it.
Right. And so anyway, so I obviously invited you to come eat food or hang out with us. And then it just kind of birthed from there.
Did Connor even make that lunch?
I don't
For some reason, I think it was
I'll
just
have to
us.
verify that with him. But anyway, and so, you know, again, it's like one of those things where again, as the mentor figure, love to invest. And so what makes it easy is just literally come up and have a conversation, right? Like have your question or even just be like, hey man, I've seen you around and whatever. Or, you know, some people at church, we have this segment of the service where we will pray for either people in the congregation that have prayer requests, I will say not either. And, we pray for prayer needs in the house. And so I'm a part of that. I say before, before I'm a preacher, I will pray and praise. Like that's just my life. And so, so anyway, people are like, man, dude, how do you pray like that?
Yeah.
I was like, first it starts with honesty. Second, it's time. It's literally just time. But anyway, so someone comes up and they ask you that again, be specific, right? It's like, man, I wanna pray like that. Oh, okay. Well, let's talk about what does your prayer life look like? Do you have one?
Yeah.
Or someone comes up to you and they're like, man, you communicate very well. How did you get to that? I'm like, well, I'm probably watching Vin Gang videos on YouTube about
Wait,
how to
hold on.
pause. And
The question, so I do a segment at the very end called Ask Mr. Jan. The question I picked out before you get onto the communication, because I was like, what would be great for Josh and I? It is literally from somebody named Axolotl on Instagram. Follow me on Instagram. I will post polls for you to ask questions every now and then. They say, how do you have as much confidence in talking as you have? Which I'm going to assume is a compliment, not a, you're really confident. You speak a whole
they're
lot.
like, oh, this guy's full of himself.
I think that's more so it's like, how do you confidently communicate when you maybe are new or whatever? Anyways, continue. So you are doing what to improve your communication?
Yeah. So first of all, you can improve it.
Yeah,
I think
100%.
I think people have this misconception that there are people who communicate very well and then other people that are just like not gifted in communication. You can have a natural gift, but you still can also build on said gift. And so for me, again, architecture school kind of helped in that we're always presenting our designs. We're being criticized all the time.
Constantly.
And sometimes you go, are they critiquing my project or are they critiquing me as a person? And sometimes they're very blatant.
You're
Oh
like,
no,
this is hurting me.
Why are you doing this? Why? Guys, if I showed you my undergraduate portfolio, you would also be critiquing me, right? Like it's undergrad to graduate was a level up, okay? But anyway, so yeah, I'll maybe watch YouTube videos. Love this guy Vin Gang. I'll shamelessly plug him.
You send him the reels. You
I'll
send me the
probably
reels.
if I pronounce your last name, if you ever see this, Mr. Gang, please tell me how to pronounce your last name. But anyway, I watch his videos and he talks about like how to pause or the art of storytelling. To be fair, I've always loved telling stories.
Yes.
I think in stories. I don't think in one-liners. I don't think in these crazy proverbial statements, although sometimes I will get one. I just got stories. I love to share them and how they've impacted my life or even the stupid things, right? Like I'm a very animated person.
You
right?
very much paint a picture and
I'll
hope we
paint it,
notice the sun.
And right now, like even in this podcast, like I could tell you a story and I'm having a hard time just sitting in a chair to tell you said story, right?
Yeah.
But anyway, I do that, but then I practice. You don't get to become great at something without practice. In a sermon context, are you preaching it to empty chairs before you preach it to the person in the room? Have you thought about your voice inflections? Have you thought about your pauses? Have you thought about emphasis? Have you thought about what you need to sit on, where you need to speed past? Like, have you thought about all those things in communication? In architecture, understanding who you're talking to. My conversation with a client versus my conversation with the consultant may be different.
Yeah.
An engineer thinking through how we're going to actually, a structural engineer, let's say, to keep the building up, or a civil engineer to hold the building down and get water flow away from the building, to the electrical engineer to understand how conduit is getting power from one place to the other. All of those things, like the way that I talk to them versus the way that I talk to the client is different. The client wants to understand how design works for their particular project, and also in some ways understand how do these spaces align.
Yeah.
So understanding who you're talking to in the seat. So anyway, you can work on those things.
100%.
It's just looking at the resources. Resource could be a YouTube video, but it could also be a person that
And
you
it can
see.
just be talking. And this is the last thing I'll say, because unfortunately we are out of time, but you'll come back. You'll be back.
It's okay.
You'll make the drive.
Maybe.
Hopefully. I think something that you and I both do very well, and it's something that I've definitely grown on. When I actually got to college, I was very much an introvert. I was not super outgoing. And then by the time I left, I really like to think I was one of your spiritual successors when you graduated. I was like, dang, somebody needs to be everybody's friend. It'll be me. But a very easy thing, whether it's at church, at work, whatever it is, and you're talking with a group of friends, a group of people, and you notice somebody on the outside, literally turn the circle into a you.
Yep.
Turn the circle into a you, bring them on in.
Pop the bubble.
My sister obviously went to Alabama University, Roll Tide. And we went to one of the A&M Alabama games, and my parents were there too. They had gotten tickets from, I think, my aunt or somebody. And my dad's talking with my sister and her friends and people from her church. And there was, this kid, I think his name was Malachi. And he was a little bit quieter, but he was cool.
Yeah.
And my dad brings him into the conversation. And our dear friend, Faith, was also there. And she goes, and she kind of laughs and she goes, and I'm like, what? And she goes, I see where you get it from. I'm like, get what? And she goes, you and your dad do the exact same thing. She goes, you can't help but bring people into the conversation. And to this day, it is maybe my favorite compliment I've ever received. Not just because I'm like my dad. No, but no, she was like, you find whoever's not involved and you're like, you're going to be involved, but not like you're now the center of the conversation. It's just, you're an auxiliary and you're going to be an auxiliary. And I think that you also do that very well. And I think that comes with practice. And I think that comes with the kind of humility to be like, look, I can be a cornball, I can be embarrassing, and it's really hard to actually be like, do you want to be my friend? Yeah. But when you actually say it, you get these lifelong friendships. Yeah. And I think that is who you are. You're just a guy who builds real friendships.
Right.
Cue the outro. No.
Hey, real
please.
fast, last thing I'll say is when you identify a potential problem, or maybe a problem that you've noticed based on your own story, you could be the person that flips the narrative and becomes part of the solution.
Can you give me an example?
Okay, well, you just mentioned about friendship. Contrary to most belief, I didn't grow up with a ton of friends.
Correct.
And now I joke that I have
And if y'all saw him at 11, you'd understand why.
Yeah, I don't look like how I did at 11. But I now say I have too many friends to count. Yeah. Right? That started with, man, I really wished people would have approached me and asked me to be their friend. Well, I could still hope for that or still wish for that. Or I can say, you know what? I'm going to approach the people and I'm going to be the intentional person and go make the friend. And so I've since shifted that, right, where, again, I'm going to be intentional first. I don't have to wait on somebody to build that friendship or the relationship. Or again, if you have people listening to this that want to build professional relationships, like they could be that person that goes first. You don't have to wait on them to be the recipient. And so anyway, you see that issue or problem, but then you go, you know what? I could be the person that actually starts that shift, at least what I can control in my life.
Amen. I think that's great. Josh, thank you for joining us. This is the end of the podcast. Something I do at the end of every podcast is I present the gospel. I actually stole it from Dude Perfect. They felt kind of convicted because they're all devout believers, but then don't really talk about it. So at the end of the podcast, they go, this is the end of the show. Here's the gospel. And so that's what I'm going to do right now. But this has been Just a Guy. Josh Brown, thank you so much. Anything else you'd like to add? Anything you want to plug?
I'm not a content creator by any means, but I do have the socials. And so if you want to follow me on Instagram, you can follow me at Josh K Brown 52. I'm probably on there goofing or showing some lifting things or just posting. I don't know, anything and everything. Yeah, you can find me there.
All right. Thank you. Josh and I both are believers. We met through ministry, and I think a part of the kingdom of heaven that we often forget is the brothers and sisters. It is very much the body of believers. Yeah. Everybody is building each other up. There are the Barnabases, the sons of encouragement. There are the people who are with you through thick and thin, who are closer than a brother. But more than just the Josh Browns of the world and the other various siblings in the faith that we have, Jesus is that brother. The Holy Spirit is with you, empowering you, you. He is Emmanuel, the God who is with us. And so for those of you who maybe feel alone, who maybe feel lost, who maybe feel like you don't have a place, you don't have a community, that is something that the church offers. But more importantly, God brings wholeness, and he brings you into something greater than yourself. He surrounds you with his love. And one of the chief ways he does that is actually surrounding you with people who have him in their hearts, who love him. I regularly tell them, I just posted a video about a message to my students, and I hope that in years to come, when they think about how loved, cared for, and safe they were in my classroom, they go, what was it about Mr. Jahn that was different from all my other teachers? And then they go, oh, it wasn't him, it was Christ in him. So I implore you, if you are feeling any of those things, to seek the God of the universe, seek the invisible God, and I know that he is faithful to make himself known.